The Icelandic volcano ash cloud that has smothered much of Europe's major airports is being felt as far away as the Kenyan flower fields. The shutdown has cost local flower and fresh produce farmers as much as $3 million a day, threatening the East African nation's nascent economic recovery.
I think it has been quite serious because we are quite dependent on air freight and also on the EU market. We normally do about 95% of everything we do is flowers and vegetables. The fruits account for only 5%. Fruits go by sea, and the flowers and veg go by air. And number two is also that we sell about 82% of everything to the EU. And EU here means Northern Europe. That's Netherlands, Germany, UK, and France. So basically the countries that are quite covered by the volcanic ash. So when that happened, then that meant we could not get into those air spaces and we could not get out 82% of everything we do. Because the other markets were not able to absorb because they're fairly small.
Every day, 1,000 metric tons of fresh produce leaves Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, with 82% of these entering Europe. Farmers have been forced to suspend production and are praying for a quick lifting of the cloud.
In fresh produce, highly perishable, we basically need to transport them to Europe as soon as it's practically possible. And once this crisis came on board and our markets are in Europe, then we were left with nothing to do except to count our losses. We've really run into serious losses as a result of this cancellation of flights, because our main market is mainly in Europe, where there was this ban of flights going to Europe here.
The partial resumption of flights at some European airports have, however, brought hope to the thousands earning a livelihood from the $900 million a year industry, that they may also be able to get their products to supermarkets like the UK's Tesco.
We were able to establish air link with Southern Europe. Specifically, we were able to fly in vegetables and flowers to the south of Spain. We did one freighter in the morning, one cargo freighter in the morning, and we did two others later in the afternoon. So we have done two to the south of Spain and one to Amsterdam. So that is 300 tons of produce that flew out yesterday. We're very happy about that, because that was 300 tons out of the possible 1,000, but 300 tons for the first time in 4 days.
But take into account that there was a lot of, I'm not the only exporter. There are lots and lots of exporters who have also very highly perishable products. And there's a queue already, and the space cannot be magnified to cover for 3 days, which have been 3 or 1 week that we are not shipped.
The European Union is Kenya's main market, and analysts now say it's about time stakeholders began to diversify their markets.
Several options can be explored. One of them, of course, would be what we would call market diversification, or selling also elsewhere, not just the EU. And we're doing that. We're selling to, for example, to the Middle East market. We are also selling a bit to East Europe and several other places. But it's important to realize that EU still remains one of the good markets for fresh produce, because even our colleagues in South America also seek to supply the EU market because of the slightly better prices that they get there. We are hoping that we can be able to open up market supplies of vegetables to the US. The US still remains completely closed to us, except for just 3 products: baby corn, baby carrots, and shelled peas. So we cannot supply our green beans yet.
Kenya's national carrier, Kenya Airways, grounding meant a loss of $1 million daily. But midweek, the carrier resumed flying in its European routes, bringing hope that the crisis was only a short-term one.
There are big airlines that are out there closer to the problem, who have had a major impact compared to us. We have our partners, KLM, Air France. We have British Airways and Lufthansa, who have literally the whole fleet down. So for us, we are waiting to see what the results of those big airlines are, so that at least we know, yes, we can follow them.
Across the border in Tanzania, exporters of flowers were reported to be losing over 250,000 euros a day. And Ugandan exporters of fish, that's Fishway's factory and Tampa Fisheries in Entebbe, suspended fish processing as early as April 15th. The loss has been estimated at $500,000. Stakeholders are optimistic, though, that the fresh export sector will pick up within the next few weeks.